Hello?
Do you remember those days where as a child you'd create a little secret base out of pillows and chairs and all sorts of manner of blankets, and it'd just be a simpler time and you wouldn't have to worry about things like rent, taxes, joint pain.
Please
and you just
stop.
Sequester yourself away in nice, pleasant seclusion, surrounded by that comfort of your toys and video games, and it'd feel like days, years of your life passing by when, well, it'd just be a single day, and by the end of that long, long, dreamy period, you just pack everything away and it'd be gone.
Oh God.
Fort is yet another 4-letter game from publishers Leader Games, in which you and your friends take the roles of rival gangs of children trying to amass the greatest economic system of pizzas and toys to create the best fort on the street. Last player to have lost the last vestiges of their youth goes first. Fort is, well, can you believe it? It's another deck building game because, honest to goodness, you can't have enough of them. Right, for the uninitiated, deck builders are games in which you and your friends all start out with a very simple deck of sometimes standardized cards. Throughout the game, you'll be drawing your cards from your deck and using them to hopefully do whatever it is you need to win the game. Get victory points, achieve some sort of objective. Victory is your goal, so you'll be playing cards for their actions and doing all sorts of bits and pieces and discarding them once they're done. Importantly though, you'll also be grabbing other cards from the market and adding them to your discard pile. I wonder why? Well, you're adding them to your engine because your engine is your deck itself. Because you're just kind of building up these cards that combo together. That's the whole premise of deck builders. You're trying to create a deck of cards that all works so well together, because once you've had enough goes and you've not got anything left to draw in your draw pile, well, you take your discard pile, you give it a shuffle, and then bim, bam, boom, look at that. You've got a brand new deck with all the new cards that you have been picking up and adding to your deck. But as you go along, obviously you'll be picking up these better cards, these things that you actively want. But you might find that in some cases, you've also got a lot of cards you no longer need once you started out with. Things that were, well, kind of trash. So also a key thing about deck builders is trashing cards from your deck, streamlining the entire thing, taking stuff you don't want and throwing it away. Get out of here.
And I love them.
I should really have a better way of explaining these things. But yes, Fort is a deck builder, specifically a re-implementation of a deck builder called SPQR, which was based on the Roman Empire, unsurprisingly. But this one is based on a different kind of empire, the Child Empire. Yeah, that really doesn't sound right. Fort is not quite like all the other girls when it comes to deck builders, and that is partly down to suits. The cards come in a variety of suits, which can be important because some of these cards have actions that allow you to bolster them with additional cards of that suit to make them better. An example, you could possibly play Dash to gain 1 pizza for every single skateboard you have. And then, ho-ho, you just so happen to have the Rocket Bros in hand, allowing you to gain a whopping 3 pizzas. Hey, I was wondering if we could possibly get 3 pizzas. No can do. What do you mean? I need it for a bit. Look, it's just well out of our budget. Well, what is in our budget?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
But these suits aren't just for improving your actions. No, you see, actions are split into both public actions and private actions on each card. So once you've finished your go doing one or both of these bits and pieces, everyone around the table gets a chance to follow that public action. They get to do it as well, if they've got a card of the correct suit in hand. They discard it, and then, well, suddenly they've also gained a free pizza off of your move. And obviously, thankfully, they can only discard 1 card of each suit, of that suit. because you can only get rid of one child at a time. This is already kind of incredible because it makes some level of sense to just focus on one suit. You know, go all in on glue, make a really efficient glue system with lots of glue cards. But at the same time, it makes a lot of sense to diversify your child portfolio. Get lots of all the other suits, so that way you can follow all the actions happening around the game and around the table. You can only play one action per turn, so if you can piggyback off of someone else's actions, then heck, it's free real estate. But you can also put cards away in your lookout, which tucks them underneath your little board here, and it removes the action on that card, but their suit remains for future actions. Meaning, if you manage to sequester the moles away into your treetop, well, now you've got some pocket spades in your tree. And so next time you play a card such as, I don't know, Sarge, which gets you toys and putting cards into your lookout, well, good gravy, you're now getting 3 toys as well as putting 3 additional cards into your lookout because you've got 3 spades at hand. My word, that's a lot of stuff. Stop, wait, halt. Your ability to mobilize children is very much limited by the level of your fort, like the name of the game possibly implies. So while you may be trying to stuff 3 children into your lookout post, well, if your fort is only level 2, there's just simply not enough room inside your fort lookout, and these children are gonna have a bad time. So this is where upgrading your fort comes into play. It's not only, well, essentially the name of the game, but one of the central premises of the game itself. You'll be trying to accumulate enough toys and pizza throughout the game, hopefully to get enough resources to upgrade your fort, which gets you all sorts of nifty benefits, namely extra storage in your backpack or extra storage in your lookout. And this is where one of the best moments of tension begins to come forwards in this game. In order to level up your fort, you need to use a fort level up action. However, most of these are on the top of cards, meaning they're public actions, meaning anyone around the table can follow that action and upgrade their fort at the same time, if they have the resources. But also, obviously, if you've got the right suit in hand, which leads to these brilliant moments of tension across the entire board, where everyone's just trying to desperately pay attention to what cards people are picking up, how many resources everyone has, just trying to work out maybe if they can possibly just play that fort level up card and progress themselves further into the game. And then you finally break that tension. You play a card to upgrade your fort, upgrading your fort, tensing as you get ready for everyone around the table to jump on your bandwagon and follow it after another and really just take advantage of everything. And then no one does. They don't have the right cards in hand. Aha! Victory! Or let's say you've managed to get one of the few cards that have a private level up action, like Moose. Sweet, sweet Moose. Oh, but these choices get so much better. You see, once you've finished playing your action and doing whatever it is you're doing with those cards, they slide on into your discard pile. But you see, children are fickle. Anything that you've not used go into your yard, which is basically the marketplace. Meaning that if any other player can lure these children into their decks like some sort of mad child catcher, they're going to go away forever. Sure, any cards that haven't been taken slide on back into your discard pile, which is great. But at the same time, this does lead to moments of difficult choices. You see, you might have 2 cards in your hand that are both really useful, but you can only play one of them because not only are they different suits, well, they're very different actions, and to be honest, you can't really afford to upgrade your fort this go. So unfortunately, sorry Moose, you're gonna have to go and play with the other boys now because, oh god, please come back. There are some exceptions, of course, being your best friends who will never leave you and never find their way out of your discard pile. Specifically, they'll never be in your yard and no one else can purchase them because they signed that blood oath with you long, long ago under the starry sky. These little twists and turns here and there make Fort a delectable deck builder, filled with all sorts of interesting ideas. And importantly, as people will be stealing children away from your yard or you're snaffling them away into your lookout, your deck remains constantly svelte and slim, meaning you get to do that particular combo you want to do more frequently. But at the same time, it means there's more and more chances for things to sort of come out in the wrong order, for cards to turn up together that you don't want them to turn up together, and for that card to be taken away by someone else. Oh God. You'll start out getting the, quite frankly, paltry number of resources required to upgrade your fort. It's very few, small bits and pieces. And along the way, you'll be getting all sorts of manner of like perks, which are like little nifty abilities, and a secret scoring objective, which can be all sorts of things, such as Loner, which requires you to have no more best friends at the end of the game. But eventually, as things begin to progress and everyone begins to build their own unique engines, and resources begin to be acquired and played more acutely, everything begins to slow down as this child Cold War creeps across the table, as everyone's much more paying attention to everything everyone is doing, every individual resource people are picking up, when, where, how. Because suddenly, you no longer necessarily want to be playing particular actions because you're worried that other people are going to bandwagon on it, they're going to follow you, they're going to take advantage of your actions and gain the upper hand. And that tension permeates through the middle to late game so wonderfully. Some quibbles, mainly it's the iconography, which can often require you to have some understanding of algebra, because, well, there's a lot going on. Thankfully, these like cheat sheets do a very good job of explaining what everything does, but there will be times when you start having to find yourself remembering the rules of bid mass before you can possibly do some of the actions. And I don't know, do you remember bid mass? I remember bid mass. Also, the rulebook is, well, kind of air. It teaches you how to play the game perfectly fine, but there are a number of slight rules queries that you will inevitably come up against, such as, you know, following actions with multiple suits, like what happens if you use the cards that have 2 suits? Do your lookout cards count towards following actions, or do they not? What constitutes as a completed action? And also, what happens with cards that have split suit bonuses on them? Like, some cards have 2 suits that they can benefit from, but can you play both, or do you have to dedicate to only one? These bits and pieces will come up in your games, and really, because the rules don't necessarily go into enough detail, it's quite a nice and light and breezy book, but these rules particulars can potentially lead to some problems, and you just kind of have to, everyone hopefully act in good faith when these things come up, and hope that they don't necessarily lead to any problems that ruin your game. Also, the aim of the game is to have the most points at the end of the game. Cool, grand, and you can do this in a variety of ways, such as getting your fort to level 5, that triggers the end of the game, or someone just throughout the game getting to 25 points or more. Sweet, radical, as the youth say. But this, and how much this is engaged in and in what way, changes depending on the number of players radically. 2-player games will often see you and your foe in a bit of a base race scenario, because you see getting your fort all the way up to level 5 gets you 23 points, as well as, if you're the first one to do it, an additional 4 points. That's 27 points, which is a lot of points, a number of points genuinely quite difficult to get through alternative scoring means when there aren't that many other actions to follow. So really, you just end up having this weird race to the fortnale type of game where you're just, both of you, so zeroed in on efficiently trying to get to the highest level of fort possible without engaging in really anything else. But at higher player counts, these alternative scoring methods come up a lot more frequently because people are much more tense and unwilling to immediately upgrade their fort. And yes, I know, shocker, a 4-player game works best at 4 players. But I do think this is something to consider, because depending on your player count, it determines how much of the mechanics at play you engage in within this game. And the more players, the more you're going to engage with different bits and pieces and different pathways you can do, and genuinely explore the game more. So, you know, if you're the sort of person that struggles to get 3 friends together because you keep on scaring them away with a water pistol, this might be something to consider. But something you should consider is Fort, because Fort is a good game. Kyle Ferran is a wonderful man, and his artwork continues to breathe so much life into any game he illustrates for. And Fort is really no different. The cards are filled with characteristically drawn children that are so full of life and style that really somehow blends the actions they're possibly responsible for with the actual art depicted on them. And there's something so inherently quite funny about a player at one point getting so angry at someone doing another action that scored them a lot of points that they loudly besmirch the name of Doc. Gosh darn it! Who is, you know, a small child. They're shouting about a small child, and it's so much funnier because this is how cute this child is. How can you be angry at that? Very easily. This alongside an expansion for Fort, which is Cats and Dogs, basically like a pets expansion, is just so fun, and funny, and charming, and it's just so delightful. It's just colourful and whimsyful. Fort is a wonderful deck builder that has enough interesting concepts and bits and pieces going on that it really makes it stand out against all the other sorts of deck builders of similar sizes. Because heck, there's a lot of complicated tactics involved. There's a lot of interesting maneuvers you can do. Because it turns out, despite this childlike appearance, there's a lot of adult inside this box. Oh no, that's really bad. I shouldn't have said that. Oh, hey there, you've caught me in my little fort here, just like the name of the game. If you liked this video, why don't you let me know by letting me know in the comment section or leaving a like. Otherwise, if you have thoughts about forts or other, I don't know, deck building games I'd love, let me know. I am always looking for more deck builders. It's a bit of a problem. Otherwise, you can look at some of my other videos, such as this one, which is a video about a video game called Triangle Strategy. It's good. Or this one down here, where I talk extensively about the board game series Time Stories, which, you know, they're not great. Whoops. Otherwise, you can click on my face, where there is a face orb, which allows you to subscribe. And, you know, thank you and goodbye.